Welcome to Co-op Mode, round 125. This is the official video game podcast of Secret Friends Unite. I am one of your hosts, Todd Oxtra, in spooky Sauvage, Minnesota, joined by the chilling Canardian, Mark Garabin.
Brains. How you doing?
Doing pretty good. We were talking a little bit about Halloween plans. You got something really cool lined up. We're gonna do a ghost walk in St. Paul where it's guided at night. They're gonna talk about all the scary history of all of the old. They're pseudo mansions in a way. They're really old, and there's a lot of scary stories. We've done it a long time ago, and it was a bus, and it was great because you had like this tour guide who was essentially playing a role. And then they had with you a dead French maid who was supposedly killed at one of the properties. And she was also there to provide a little bit of comic relief. And so we're excited about doing this one because we didn't do it with my son last time. So Logan will be going along with us. So I'm looking forward to it. And I'm just really enjoying spooky season right now. It's been a hell of a lot of fun watching lots of spooky movies. And hopefully this will be a spooky episode. This is really our Halloween episode because we normally record, and because of everything, and this is going to be our Halloween episode. We tried to do it at the very end, but it's just too rushed, and it would just get out there like the day after Halloween. So it doesn't really work. Nobody wants to be scared on November 1st.
No, exactly. No, this is a good time for the Halloween episode. A little lead up. If people listen a little late, it's good. We're ready to go.
Yeah. Or just save this for spooky times if you want to be really spooked, because Mark and I are both the scariest guys, at least when you look at us, but we don't need a costume. So with that, we want to thank a chilling thank you for our Patreons. And if you'd like to be a Patreon, check out our Patreon. You can get a 7-day free trial, Mark. Lots of good content. We just put out a spooky episode of The Spinner Rack. It's our comic book show, and it was American Vampire. Very cool Vertigo comic book about vampires. It's a really unique take. So check that out. It's there for free, along with lots of other content. So Mark, who are the cool kids who are our current patrons?
We have the Friends with Benefits tier, including Corey and HD, John Sadorf, the Phoenix Sisters cosplay, Banger Bang McBanger, the third Banger, son of Banger of the House of the Bangers, aka Brendan Myers. We have the BFF tier, Sean, Stella, and Henry Nias, Missy Merchant, and Andy Milliken. And we still need to assign John a power-up, do we?
Yes. This was part of our changing of the tiers and giving more benefits away, and this is one of those benefits, Mark. Might be a curse. This may be our scary curse. She'll be cursed with this power-up. It is kind of a spooky episode. Do you have a scary power-up for John?
A scary power-up. Let's see. What's a spooky power-up? Instantly that comes to mind is just like Ghost Mario. John can just turn into a ghost whenever he wants to. I don't know what the implications of that would be. Would he astral projection kind of leave his body? Would his body just disintegrate and then reintegrate when his ghost power runs out? Maybe.
Is his body unprotected as he's out of it?
That's there's some implications. So I think my other one, I was just thinking about necromancy and just raising the dead to do his bidding. Which gift and a curse. I think that one you got to deal with some zombie horde, and you control them, but maybe you lose focus. I don't know. That's but I think I'll go with John can turn into a ghost. Ghost Mario John.
I like that.
Yeah.
This is the type of ghost that can what was that game on the GameCube? Was it Geist?
Geist, yes. Possess everything.
Dog bowl.
So you possess, the security cameras and then this thing and that thing. Yeah, it's I remember that game.
So weird. Let's see. So if I was going to pick and I'm going to do that, the whole it's a blessing and a curse. So in those games where you get a perk but if you get this, it like reduces your stats. So I'm gonna be like, you get extra stamina, but it reduces his overall health. That's like,
Oh,
so basically he can go longer, faster for quite a time, but when he uses it, it basically takes it away from his health. So it's really one of those, um, you have to be very careful when you use it, because if you use it right before a boss fight and you're going with less health, might not be the plan you wanted.
can you recover the health, or is this like oh, what's that movie called? With the kids, and every time they use their magic, it like basically, reduced their life. It turned them older the more they used it. And the guy's like dad was, it was like regular kind of like high school dad age kind of thing, but like he looked like he was 90 kind of thing. What the hell was
Oh,
that called?
yeah, I don't know. I was thinking like
The
Spawn.
Covenant,
Oh, the Covenant. Okay, I remember that. Yep, yep. I
I
was thinking
think.
like Spawn, because that was Spawn. Like he would use his powers. He essentially reduced his he reduces his life of expectancy, and then he would go to hell. So that was kind of his curse, to use his powers and make him really powerful, but he would lose his health and would eventually go to hell, and he didn't want to do that. So he had to
Yeah.
conserve it and use it appropriately. So
Mhm.
hopefully, John, you enjoyed those power ups, and if you disagree, take it up with management. Oh, that's us.
Oh no.
Ooh, let's see how that goes.
Thanks, John.
Well, this week we're continuing with the spooky theme. And Mark, I picked horror game settings.
Yep.
So I picked a couple, and I had examples of it because I'm not sure
Great
I got
examples.
all of
Great,
them.
great picks.
Uh, First one was kids' restaurant. So you think of like a Chuck E. Cheese or Showbiz Pizza. I don't know. Was there a Canadian type of like themed restaurant like that for kids, or was it
I
also
mean,
Charles
like
Entertainment Cheese?
I know we saw like we didn't have one around here, but I know like I saw Chuck E. Cheese advertisements and stuff, so I think they had existed
Okay.
in maybe bigger cities. We had we had one called Boomerangs, which was like laser tag and arcade games and food and all this kind of shit that
Okay.
that would be um, kind of like an arcade plus kind of
Hmm.
thing. They did that kind of stuff. So yeah, we get the general concept. We didn't have like the the creepy
Yeah.
mascots and that kind of stuff, but like I understand the country bear jamboree ness of it all.
My hometown, we didn't have a Chuck E. Cheese, but we had a Family Inn pizza place. They showed movies as you watch pizza, so like Tron and things were like that. And they had an arcade, and they also had like one animatronic that was like not licensed whatsoever, but I think it was like a cross between like Darth Vader and like a Cylon or something. It made no sense, but it did move, and it was kind of creepy. So
Hmm.
that's kind of like your low rent, like, and it did close, so I imagine that would be a good place to have a horror themed video game, would be the low rent Five Nights at Freddy type place. And that's where I
Uh,
kind of thought of that. And
yeah,
we've got that actual movie is coming out at the end of the month, Mark. So that
yeah,
actually looks pretty good, with Logan Lerman, I think, is in the lead in that. That's actually, it looks kind of scary. So I think they nailed it.
yeah.
Um, Next, Mansion. So I reference Resident Evil, which you can see behind me, the Resident Evil Mansion, or Luigi's Mansion if you want something a little bit maybe less spooky, maybe more spooky, less scary, less terrifying. But there've been other obviously mansions that are scary in games, so they're always a good setting. Lots of trapdoors, lots of false walls, things like that. Always a dungeon probably.
Yeah.
Um, then the abandoned town. So I thought like
Mm.
Silent Hill or even Last of Us, where you've got towns that have just been taken out and no one lives there, and you just find all the corpses and things, stuff like that. So it can be haunted, just can be the post-apocalyptic nature. So those are the ones I picked, Mark. So
I like
with
it.
these choices, and we'll say buy rent return, I guess we got to establish what's the buy. What is that criteria? Is it like the
That was
place
going to
you
be my
don't want to
first
be in?
answer,
Like it's
my first
so
question.
scary. You like, I buy that this is the most scariest. I don't want it, but
Yeah.
it's perfect. Or are you saying not scary, not for me. I want this as my scary one with your buy. So what do you prefer?
I
One?
think I think let's make it buy is like the scariest one. That's
Okay,
the best one.
perfect.
And then return is like that's been
Eh,
done. I'm not interested anymore. Let's,
got it.
that's it. So
Okay.
I think that's the criteria we'll go with.
I
Sound
like it.
good?
I like it.
All right.
Yeah. So
Okay.
absolutely. So with that, Mark, what
Yes.
what what would you pick?
I am going to I'm going to return Mansion because I think it's limiting because it's been done, like you said, with Resident Evil games, Luigi's Mansion. We've got a few of those already. Um, and I think you can put aspects of a mansion in an abandoned town. So I'm gonna use that. That's gonna be my return. Even though I absolutely love Resident. Like if I think of horror game, Resident Evil is the one that comes up. Like the first Resident Evil, that is like my go-to horror game of choice. And same thing with Luigi's Mansion. I'm going to be playing Luigi's Mansion this month because it's fun and kind of, just quirky kind of Halloween fun. And that's kind of what I like. So I'm saying that that's the least favorite one, but it's also my favorite. So this list is going to make no sense, as most things do with me. So Mansion, I am returning. I'm also kind of thinking about this in terms of like our bonus round later. So that's if you're wondering how my brain's working tonight, that's how. Um, it's going to be a toss up between Havana Town and Kids Restaurant, but I feel like again the Kids Restaurant could be a little limiting. And an abandoned town, you could again have an abandoned restaurant in there. So adds to the creepy factor. I do like horror games that trap you in a location. So kids restaurant or abandoned like place in general, like one building, one little creepy place that you're in. I do get the appeal of that. I do like that. But I think I'm going to use that as my return or my rent, and I'll buy the abandoned town just because it opens up so many possibilities of going in here, going in there. And there's something creepy. I was talking about this with my wife about a week ago. Because we were talking about an abandoned village that we went to. And I found it very peaceful. Apparently, this place is haunted. It's, it was abandoned just after World War One. So there's not much left now. It's the foundations and ruins of buildings and all this kind of stuff. Um, but some parts were creepy, but for the most part I found it so peaceful there because it's out in the middle of nowhere, so there's not even like a cell signal. I just found it was very quiet,
Perfect
very
for
whatever, but also probably creepy, if the
yeah,
sun goes down and stuff, and like again there's no cell signal. um and so no lights, no nothing, just you're in the woods and there's some creepy building structure foundations around. Um, so I like that. Even a small abandoned town like that one, like a complete ghost town would be scary, but also like a town that people are supposed to live in, like a Silent Hill kind of thing where it's like everyone just seemed to have disappeared, or something
disappeared.
like The Last of Us where it's like halfway between the both. I like that. Is that, you know, again, is it is as psychologically terrifying as like being trapped in a restaurant with monsters or demon possessed, creepy dolls that want to kill you? I don't know, maybe, but that's what I'm going with today.
You never know what you're going to find in an abandoned town.
Yeah, that's where my brain's at right now.
Okay, I
What
like
about
it.
you?
You make a lot of great points. So I don't know if you swayed me or not one way or the other, but as I'm thinking through this, um, I'm really thinking, to your point, the mansion has been kind of done before. You've seen it a million different games, and even Resident Evil, the multiple games, they've done that where
Mhm.
there's been just a big mansion or castle, which is great atmosphere. But once again, it's like a lava level or a water world. It's those levels you're used to and you're expecting. So
Mhm.
yeah, I would probably return that just because, not because it's not effective. It's just it's not really opening a lot of new possibilities you probably haven't seen before. Um, I do like the idea of the abandoned town because what it opens up is, to your point, you're probably in the middle of nowhere. So once again, the likelihood of you getting assistance or making communication or even trying to get somewhere else is probably going to be very hard. But I also like the fact that it's abandoned town. So you've got all these buildings, which opens up the potential for different threats or
Mhm.
different surprises in each different building or general store, or maybe an automotive, like a car repair shop, or like, you could have a stable or something like that, and it would open up an opportunity like, oh, there's your dead horse that's going to eat you, or there's the criminals that are not really all dead in the jail,
Mhm.
that are now going to eat you. Yeah, and a lot of places for things to hide. So I like that, because you think you're safe, you got away from something, and you close the door and you look, and hey, look, your best dead friend is there. So I like that. So I'm gonna rent that, because I think it's got some opportunity,
Mhm.
some new things, especially we've seen that with games using it, and it works well. And depending if it's like post apocalyptic or something like that, can work either way. Or like turn of the century, old times. Think of like Sleepy Hollow or something like that. Really
Yeah.
like that era.
Yeah.
Um, but then Kids Restaurant, I think I'm going to buy that, because I feel like there's
Nice.
opportunity here, and I think it's that very small enclosed space. You're in
Yep.
one building, not very big, limited places to hide. Ultimately, you're going to probably have a lot of locked doors that you probably can't access. Do you have keys? And then potentially an opportunity for someone to spy on you with cameras,
Mhm.
which gets a little more creepy, like the Friday Nights at Freddy. So it adds that claustrophobia, and you never really feel like you're safe, because if you make a sound, most likely you're going to be screwed. And
Mhm.
the opportunity to just, meaning that every move you make is going to be harder, because you are probably closer to being found than in these other places, just because they're bigger spaces. So
Yeah.
I like that.
You get that panic factor too, right? Like you said,
Hmm.
is the door locked? Do you have the key? If you have the key in that setting, do you have time to open the door? Do you have time to
Is
get
it like the key
out?
ring with 85
Is it
keys?
something right? Like even if it's one, like if you try to open a door,
Yeah.
that my porch light burnt out a couple of nights ago, and it was trying to get the door. It was like pitch black, and I was just like, I was carrying some groceries in one hand. And I was just like, something's chasing me. I'm done. Like I'm out because I just
Speed
could
it up.
not get it. It was
Speed
just
it up,
yeah, it
Mark.
was not working. So replace that
And you're
porch
gonna
light.
drop the
Good to
keys. You know
go.
you're gonna
Yeah.
drop
Oh
the
yeah.
key.
All the
And then
time.
where's
You're
it
fumbling.
at? And
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Yeah. For sure. So like that, you get that immediate panic factor that you might not get. I think you're right on with the abandoned town, where when you said like you get away and like yeah you think you're safe and but you could be safe. You know what I mean? Like there's so many places to run. Like you look at that building, you're
There's
like,
more
I'm not going in
choices,
there. I'm going
essentially,
this
right?
way.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you just kind of cheese it right to the end. So I like that choice. That's really good.
Very cool. Well, hopefully everybody enjoyed this. I forgot to share this before the show, so we didn't get any community involvement. That's on my bad. I will do that better next time. But if you saw this, let us know in the Discord group or on one of the socials that we're on. Let us know what your pick is, because I think these are hopefully, you had a different choice. And you can tell us why.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, Mark. This is just the two of us. I figured we could
Mhm.
get into some news, because there has been a lot going on. So these are like three big stories, and one that I think is fun because of the season. And you can obviously talk about some of the other Halloween themed events that are coming up in a lot of games, because it's that season. And people, these live service games always add them on. So let's hit that first, actually. So I shared this story, and I didn't really know this was a big thing, and that's the Call of Duty has a Halloween event.
Mhm.
I really wasn't aware of that. I guess I'm less into that zeitgeist of all of the live service part of Call of Duty Modern War, because you have what,
Mhm.
Call of Duty Modern War 3 plus then Warzone, and they
Yep.
kind of overlap sometimes in regards to skins and weapons.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what they've done previously, but this year they're doing the haunting. And what
Mm.
really stood out to me is they've got characters from Diablo. So you've got uh, the Butcher, I believe, from the original Diablo game. You've got Lilith as well, and it's funny to see her with weapons, but she's also scary and can take people out. You've got Spawn and the evil clown from Spawn, which I thought was interesting, and then you had Ash from the Evil Dead. and oh wait, that's not even the only one. Skeletor. That's the one. It's like Skeletor. What?
Amazing.
Oh, and Helsing too. The
Amazing.
vampire from Helsing. You've got some Doom elements as well, and
Mhm.
then Anarius from Diablo as well. I guess that's the angel as well. So that's kind of cool. So I don't know. I know Warzone's free, but I believe the Modern Warfare 3 online is you have to own the game.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Does any of this stuff seem interesting to you, Mark? Because I know that's typically not your thing. It's not typically my thing. I usually play the campaign.
Yeah.
With this, I mean, I'm almost tempted to try it out, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I always enjoyed the Call of Duty games. I used to like the original like Modern Warfare 2, like those the original games like for the Xbox 360, they were my jam back in the day. Like that was my online multiplayer of choice. That Gears of War, like so if I was to get back in, this would be interesting, but I'm like I don't know if I want to jump back in just for this. It is kind of interesting that Ash is coming to this, and Ash's skin is in the Fortnite shop right now, or at least he was this
And he
morning.
has his own game that I think is going to be turned off soon too.
Yeah. So just a character that it's like, hey, we're doing a Halloween thing. Who's cool? Let's get that. So it is kind of neat. Like, but like Skeletor is such a weird choice with Skeletor, with Helsing, um, Lilith, like just everything. Like it's good. There's a good mix of characters which I really
Yeah,
enjoy.
that was weird. And
Um,
I normally don't think of Call of Duty with like skinned characters. I know there've been, I think Nicki Minaj has been in Call of Duty, so I don't think anything's off limits to be honest. But um, I guess this is cool. I mean, I think it's neat. They like money and it's an entertaining event. I
yeah.
dig this quite a bit. And they have a mode called Zombie Royale is coming out. They've got Operation Nightmare that's also part of it,
Yeah.
and yeah, and there's and then zombies have always been a part of Call of Duty, and
Yeah.
so it makes sense that they're just building on top of this. So,
Mhm.
hey, you know what? It's there. Try it if you want. But I may check it out. I just it'll probably take me 3 hours to download the 120 gigabytes that Warzone is, but
Mhm.
why not? I'll set it and forget it. Mark,
Yeah.
so I know at least one of the games that our friend Cheesy is into is Splatfest. It's Splatoon, and I know he's been like so frustrated. He's like he was like, "Where's the Splatoween? Where's the Splatoween?" Mark, are we getting a Splatoween?
Apparently, yes. So they just released this a day or two ago. So it's a Halloween theme. They are finally doing it, which is very nice, very good. There's some new outfits. There's just regular stuff. You can decide between. I think it's zombie, skeleton, ghost. Um, and that's your teams. So it's a triple Splatfest, which is always fun. Um, yeah, seems like a good kind of mix. Yeah, I like that.
Is that something they do every year with Splatoon? I'm not. I'm just not into the game, so I don't know if they do it every year.
Splatoween, yeah, I think has been a thing. It's been a couple of years since I really got into Splatfest and stuff, but I know they used to do like Splat like Halloween themed Splatfest and that kind of stuff. So it's not out of the ordinary, I don't think. So the weird thing about this, I guess not super weird, but it kicks off the 27th and goes till the 29th. So they're getting that weekend energy, I guess, which again is the weekend that I'm going to be away. So I'm definitely not playing this one. But you'd think they just like put this one back, like maybe start it on the Sunday, end it on like Halloween, or even start it Saturday and end it the day before Halloween. It's a really weird timing, but I could just picture like wanting to play this. And is my camera doing a weird thing to you?
You're flashing. You got like a night part. You got a party going on in your house. It looks yeah. The lights were flashing on and off. It almost looked like
There we
must have been
go.
your
That
lighting.
was my camera. My lights are
Oh,
fine. I didn't notice. I was reading an article and
or
I
where
came back.
or is there something going on at your house, Mark? This was a spooky
Ruh-roh.
episode.
This is
Uh
a
oh.
spooky episode. Uh-oh.
Is Lorraine in the background flipping the light?
No, the lights didn't go off. It was just in the camera, like in the computer. So
Oh,
if there's
weird.
something going on, like the lights were all fine here where I'm sitting, but in the computer world, my lights were all bajiggity, which is why I didn't notice because I was reading the Splatfest article.
I
Anyway,
was
so if
enjoying it. I
you
was gonna say, unless I had like
yep,
unless I
there
had
we
a
go.
seizure because of your lights, I was just gonna like, I'll let it go.
Apologize to anyone that freaked out. So if you want to be a zombie, a skeleton, or a ghost, jump in to Splatfest. Um,
Are those the teams?
yes, yeah.
Okay.
You pick one, and then you represent your team, and whichever team racks up the most points, that's who wins the Splatfest, and you get a bonus if you're on that team.
Nice, nice. And then I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up Fortnite and what they're doing this year with their
Of course,
Fortnitemares.
they're doing Fortnitemares as always. They've got some amazing original outfits, including um, like a zombie mummy looking guy, like a zombie cat, a zombie looking fish thing, which is in the shop right now, and I thought was hilarious. Um, but the big ones are always the tie-ins. We've had Universal monsters before. In my collection, I have Frankenstein and Frankenstein's Bride, I believe. They're the two that I got in prior years. This year, no Universal Monsters, which I'm disappointed with, but we are getting Disney's Jack Skellington. The Pumpkin King himself is coming to Fortnite, and I can't freaking wait. I need it. I really expected them to drop this last Friday, and it didn't
Yeah.
happen. I thought they'd drop because there's like three different characters and there's 3 weeks of this event left until the event slash the season is over. So starting it on Friday would have given each of these characters a full week rotation in the shop as a highlight of like, hey, get Jack. Then the next week would be Michael Myers takes over the shop from the Halloween franchise. And then finally you have Alan Wake, who would finish out Fort Nightmares and the season, and that would be it. Each one would have a week. I don't know how they're doing it because no one's showed up in the shop yet except for
Hmm.
the bog stick, the zombie fish looking thing. So I don't know what
Interesting.
they're doing, but Jack
Okay.
Skellington's coming. I check every night. He might be there right now. It switches over at, I think it's around 9 o'clock local, like my local time.
Okay.
So it's 10:40 right now. I haven't played since I checked it this morning just to see who was in the shop, and so you never know. Jack could be there, and I could have missed it completely because I haven't checked anything. So, but it's fun. They've brought back um, all the usual stuff like the pumpkin grenades or the pumpkin like rocket launcher, um, the witch's broom to get around. There's a new weapon, a wooden stake shotgun, which is very very
Ooh,
satisfying to
neat.
shoot wooden stakes at people. Um, and there's some creepy stuff all throughout, and like different missions that you go on and complete the Fort Nightmares quest and unlock a bunch of emotes and thingies, and you can collect candy and all the usual Fort Nightmares good stuff. So and then Horde Rush mode, which is the kind of zombie mode for Fortnite. So tons of fun, no matter what live service game you prefer.
Yeah, I mean, if you like a World of Warcraft, they do a Hollow's End event, which is kind of neat because one of the horses looks like almost the horse from Sleepy Hollow, has like a fiery, flamed hooves, things like that. Um, Destiny does their Festival of the Lost, which is fun. You do essentially trick or treating, and you get really crappy masks that are made of like paper mache, and those are kind of fun. And
Yeah.
then Overwatch typically does their kind of like a PVE event, which is
Mm,
always fun. But now they're charging for the PVE stuff, which kind of sucks.
yeah.
But yeah, they're doing a Overwatch Diablo crossover this year.
Oh
So
yes,
no
right.
matter what, yeah, yeah. So no matter what you like, there's probably something out there just to get your spookiness on. So enjoy that. And if you're looking for a recommendation for a fun Halloween themed game, get Costume Quest. It's great. It's
Yeah.
wonderful. It's
Yeah.
wonderful that I think they made two sequels, or they made a sequel to it. Really one of my favorites. Logan and I loved that quite a bit.
Great games. Great games.
Yeah. Well, when you're done playing some spooky games, now it's time to talk about the rumors, Mark. And we've had quite a few. So the one that's the newest, is the fact that there are rumors now that the Switch 2, whatever we're going to call it, is
Mhm.
launching with it's going to take a playbook out of PlayStation and Xbox and essentially have a model that is physical plus digital and a model that's only digital.
Yeah.
And it's a little muddy because there are some people saying that it's going to be all digital and it will not be backwards compatible, which would be weird. And the one that has physical would be compatible with your cartridges plus your digital library. I'm thinking it's the opposite of saying it won't be backwards compatible with your cartridges, but your digital library, everything would work on it. It's just the fact it doesn't have a cart, so obviously
Yeah.
it can't work with the carts. So
Yeah. That doesn't make any sense. That's one of those rumors that you're like, that doesn't make any sense. Because like theoretically, you would
same hardware.
think it's the same software at least running the damn thing. So
Yeah.
like how would you block off a digital purchase? I get it. If I buy the digital version, there's no place for me to insert my little cart. Obviously, I can't play that one. But like it doesn't make sense to have an OS or a machine that's just limited with its backwards compatibility. That just I
Yeah.
mean, if a company's going to try it, it's going to be Nintendo, but it just doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Like that's a
I
weird one.
mean, it's not like the old days when to get backwards compatibility, you had to include the old hardware. Like the old PlayStation 2
Yeah.
had PlayStation 1 hardware and because it couldn't do it software emulation wise. I believe the Wii had GameCube hardware in it. That's how
Yes, you're correct.
backwards compatibility worked. And then in the Wii U also had Wii software in it? Like
Yes.
hardware?
Yep.
Okay. So yeah,
Yep.
that used
You
to be
could
back in
switch right into
the
Wii
yeah.
mode. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the PS3 had essentially a PS2 built into it. That's why it was so damn expensive.
Yep.
And then they got away from that. They got rid of the hardware, so then it was no backwards compatibility. So I don't think they're going to put like a Switch 1 hardware in a Switch 2 to do it. I don't think they're doing that. That would be way too heavy, way too
Yep.
expensive. It would just be dumb. So I think to your point, it's just going to be a digital only, which
Yep.
quite honestly, I think if you offer both, I don't think you see anything wrong with it. And I don't know how Nintendo would be like, how would they justify it though? Because I mean, by taking out a slot, does that really cut a price? I just
That's
don't
it, right?
see how
That's
it
what I'm thinking.
works.
It's like
It's not a Blu-ray drive or something like that. It's
yeah, as soon as you said it, I was like, why? Like, does it take up that
yeah.
much? Like, is it space saving or cost or whatever? Like, it can't be that much.
Well,
It just can't be. You know what I mean?
unless that's their light model, like they launch with like, here's the dirt cheap model.
Yeah.
And, but I just still don't get it though. I don't see the play unless they're
Yeah.
saying, and by the way, we're moving the cart and we're gonna make it not dockable. We're gonna I don't know.
And they're saying the price difference is only $50 here, right? Like, so it's in line with other
It's like the PS. Yeah, we'll talk
with like
about that. But yeah,
the PlayStation stuff, so like I guess I don't know, $50 is $50, but there's got to be something like I don't know. It seems weird. It just seems weird. Maybe it's a mental thing for us where it's like, hey, it's like a disk drive is at least something big, like this is just like a little cartridge slot. It seems weird. But like Nintendo's
yeah,
done not quite the same thing, but something kind of similar before with the DS line,
yeah,
where as the DSs got older, they lost the GBA slot. You know what I mean? So like if they're doing that, where it's a dual slot system, where Switch 2, what the hell's going on? How did I just do
How
balloons?
did you
What
get
just happened?
balloons? Oh, Mark, you are. Is
I don't
it
know
in
what's
there?
going
Is
on.
the clown? Is Pennywise
There's
gonna come
something
and get
going
you?
on. If I get eaten tonight, I love you all. I'm sorry. Uh, the, yeah, so like that. If it's a double slot, let's say that Switch 2 games are either all digital, so they don't need the slot, so the slot is just for Switch games, or if the Switch 2 takes a new kind of cartridge, so this is like a double slotted kind of thing, maybe I can see them like being like, that price is just if you want the Switch library, you just got to pay up. You know what I mean? Like that could maybe make sense to me if it's something like a like the Game Boy DS kind of thing of like, yeah, you can get the DS with the Game Boy slot, or you can get the DSi, no Game Boy slot. It's smaller. It can do this, this, and this more. Like, I don't. It seems weird, but I'm starting to kind of justify in my mind ways that it could make sense.
Yeah, like I said, unless they could not figure out a way to make backwards compatibility work from a software sense, because if they're going to go with new NVIDIA, basically chipset, which may make it more difficult to do the backwards compatibility. I don't know. I don't know enough about it. That would be the only way that would say they'd have to add the hardware, which means that maybe making the other model more of like a handheld only. It's lighter. It's cheaper. But to your point, $50. I don't know who would skip the $50. Want to save the $50 for that loss of your library and all those
Mhm.
things. It would just be for like new people onto the Switch. But at this point, who doesn't own a Switch and who doesn't have games for it?
Or, I mean, it could be for the people that, like for me, if this thing is backwards compatible, I'm probably selling my OLED. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or like saving that. Maybe we'll save one of the OLEDs because both myself and my wife both have OLED models. Maybe save one of those to give to Finn. But like for the most part, probably selling them
yeah,
and getting these new things. So like if you're the kind of person that would hold on to the Switch because you have a collector's model that you really like, my wife might say, yeah, I'm not letting go of this Zelda collector's model. Like I'm keeping that one. And then it's like, okay, well, save yourself $50 because you got your Switch and then you got your Switch 2 and you're happy, right? Like that if that's a possibility and you don't mind switching the switches, then yeah, save yourself $50. Who cares? But
yeah,
for me, like if I can get a backwards compatible one, nah, my OLED's gone. I'm just give me a
yeah.
new one.
Keeping hardware where essentially your library moves with you is
Mhm.
kind of now it kind of negates needing the old stuff unless you're like you said, a custom version or something like that. You really loved it. I mean, there are going to probably be games like I know on the Switch Lite there's certain games that don't work in certain modes because they removed some of those things.
Yeah.
So maybe you're more likely to get rid of that than the other one. But yeah, to this point, I mean, it's a weird one. But we're in now like prime rumor time
Mm.
because the Switch is going to launch next year, the Switch 2.
Oh yeah.
So we're going to hear more and more about this. It's just a matter of when we actually get anything revealed. But we're going to get those weird screenshots of like somebody had a Switch and they mocked it up, and I can't wait for it. I love that. Just it's so much fun just to understand, guess what it could be.
Yeah.
And we'll be surprised when if they don't do anything special. I still think we'll be surprised because like they did just what we thought. Oh my god, kind of like they merged their console and thing, and that's what we always wanted. Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah. I can't believe Nintendo actually gave us what we want for once. Yeah, it's shocking. Yeah,
Exactly. And remember,
yeah,
like,
definitely.
Nintendo's probably like tricking people and doing these weird things. Quite honestly, that's not what people love the most. They actually like just the games and
Yeah.
playing them on a cool system. Yeah.
Who would have thunk it?
Yeah, exactly.
Insane.
Well, we'll have more of these to come, but the other part that was funny was the price. 400 and 450. Those would be the most expensive systems Nintendo has ever launched. The Wii U is the most expensive they launched with 350, and then the OLED is at 350. But yeah, they I mean, and they could have charged quite honestly $400 for the Switch because there was demand and people would have paid for it.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, our next these next two are just news stories.
Mhm.
So the next one is basically we've been waiting for this to happen. Xbox has now officially acquired ABK, Activision Blizzard King. They've
Yep.
made adjustments over the deal, which is I think the best thing out of this. They got scrutiny, they made concessions.
Yep.
They had to basically give a little bit away to make this deal work, which is what you want. You want
Mhm.
this to not be like every company just absorb anybody and like do whatever you want, and it's for the worst. So I don't think we would have gotten as many streaming deals out of this as possible. We would have not gotten guaranteed. Nintendo would have been, coming to the party of
Yeah.
Call of Duty in the future, and Sony. playing hardball, obviously got what they wanted, which was Call of Duty going forward.
Yeah.
But Microsoft spent, or Xbox, well, Microsoft spent $69 billion to get ABK. And Bobby Kotick will be out of the company by the end of 2023. So that's a win because it will make hopefully a better culture for the studios and the developers. I believe, Mark, there is like over 20 studios that will be
Merging.
joining. Like King itself has 11 developers, which I didn't
Yeah.
realize,
And really
which is great.
gives Microsoft an instant mobile developer wing,
Yeah.
like of the, it's wild. Like people, again, we've said this before, people focused so much on Call of Duty, and that is important for consoles, but Microsoft, I don't want to say they didn't care about that, but I don't think that was like one of the things near the top of their radar for this acquisition. Like, I don't think people understand how important King is in this acquisition. Like, mind blowing amounts of like just revenue and
And
development power and like just that's what they're after.
it opens the world up to billions of consumers.
Yeah.
I mean, mobile does. I mean,
Yeah.
and this would lead you the lens to think, well, does this mean we're going to see Microsoft go back to a Windows phone? Where would they go? Because I know what they don't want is to have to pay the iPhone, the Android tax
Mm-hmm.
on their stores. I know
Yeah.
they're talking about getting a mobile store. I don't really know how that works because I don't think Apple will want you to do that because Epic tried and they
Yeah.
kind of, got caught and got their hand smacked. I don't
Well,
think
I think
Google
why
does.
Microsoft has been in Epic's corner quite
Yeah.
vocally. I think it's because of this acquisition. I
Yeah.
think they kind of saw what was up. They saw what Epic was trying to go, and they're like, "Yeah, 100%, give us our own store."
You go, boy.
Well, that
Glad
ties
it's
into
you and
Game
not us
Pass as
trying
well.
this.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It
Take
ties
it, take a
into
hit for it. Yeah.
to Game Pass as well, and different things of like just Apple basically by like, oh, you can play these games, but you can't stream this game. You can play this thing, and you can't have this subscription, but you can have that one. It's just like Apple makes up all these dumb rules that kind of benefit themselves
Mhm.
but not others, and it's almost like they write these rules specifically to be like, yeah, Microsoft, like, screw you, like, hey, Steam, screw you. But there are some regulators that are eyeing Apple, and the newest Apple devices are, I think, a direct reflection on that, of Apple getting out with things with like, so that the newest iPhones have USB-C
Mhm.
instead of a lightning connector. And that is Apple getting out in front of it before they were forced to do it,
Yeah, by Europe.
right?
Mhm.
It's only going to take one place to do the exact same thing with stores, like,
Yeah.
hey, open up this walled garden of an app store you have. Like, the app store exists on a Mac. On this Mac that I'm recording in front, I can get the app store. It's great. It
Yep.
means everything that's in that app store, Apple has vetted. They trust it. It's secure. It's this. It's that. It's whatever. For the most part, whatever, things can leak through, just like the App Store now. But like, that's a great place to go for certain things. But like any other computer, I can go on whatever website I want to and download whatever thing I want to from anyone. Whether I trust them or not is on me. It's my device. I can do what I want. If you get a MacBook for your mother, you can say, hey, mom, here's the app store, just like on your phone. Trust this place and don't trust, like, this, anything else. Yeah. Like, you can kind of
Yeah.
lock things down like that.
It's an
And it's simple.
ecosystem, walled garden.
It's great.
You share, everything works with whatever
But
you've got. It's a very much to
yeah.
be a seamless, take the pain out versus Windows. To your point, there's a billion launchers. I mean, we're hearing potential rumors that Sony's going to make basically a launcher on PC, so they don't have to pay the whatever tax is out there. I mean, Windows,
Yeah.
I don't know if they actually charge fees, but nobody wants to be on the Windows store.
Right.
Steam has a 30% fee on their store because they're kind of like the everybody needs to be on Steam to be
Yeah.
relevant. Although Epic, they're basically having exclusives,
Mhm.
like Alan Wake 2. It's only available on the Epic Game Store. It's not available on Steam, and they paid for that because they want to bring people to the store. But they also decided that they were going to be more dev friendly, and they only charge, I think, 8 or
Yeah.
12%
Not much. Yeah.
versus the standard 30 from others,
Typically, yeah.
stores. Windows also, the Windows 11 is those. There's a lot of Android apps that are just compatible with Windows 11 too.
Yeah.
So I could see them, and you can sideload Android stores and storefronts on Android devices, which makes it a
Mhm.
little bit more open. So you've gotten people to get around things. So it makes sense that Microsoft would try to do that. But I'm also hoping what it does, Mark, is it gets, because a lot of people are trying those like handheld PCs, like the ROG Ally, which a lot of people like, but they said it's still clunky. It's not
Mm.
completely, there's no real Windows mobile platform at this point that works really well.
Yeah.
They have Surface, but that's a little bit different. You want just a gaming, like Steam has the big mode, which is essentially, it's like a console that, and Windows doesn't have that yet. And I think if they can do that in a mobile PC environment, that will be amazing, because there's a
Mhm.
market now for it. They found this, like, hey, Nintendo figured it out, and they're like,
Yeah.
oh, people that don't necessarily want Nintendo, but they want the luxury of having that PC architecture with the Steam and all these other devices. There's going to be more coming. I mean, there's even a Legion. They have one that's very much like the Switch. It's higher powered, but it's also basically
Mhm.
got like Joy Cons,
Yeah.
and which is pretty cool. So all of these things are kind of like, it's going to be interesting to see what they do with King. That's they in part of this deal was part of driving revenue.
Yeah.
Mobile generates a ton of revenue. Call of Duty generates a ton of revenue, and that's what they want, because right now Microsoft does not, or Xbox hasn't like had a live service game that's really nailed that revenue stream coming in. Halo, they tried, it just struggled. And if they can do that, that also teaches
Mhm.
them how to do that with their other games as services as well. So
Yep.
there's more to play here, because ABK, that's what they do. Blizzard's been doing games that make money for years. Call of Duty as well. And I think the other part of this that'll be interesting is to see. I think they released a list of like the IP that is owned and wildly underserved. I think there's this. This is what we most hope is it's better. Opportunities for the developers there to get off of Call of Duty, hopefully, and do something else.
Yeah.
Toys for Bob. There was another developer that did a lot of like Crash Bandicoot and Skylanders
Mm.
things
Yeah.
as well, that we're hoping they'll get to go and things. And the thing I want, Mark, I want Guitar Hero to come back,
Yes.
but I also want Design Lab guitars.
Ooh.
So just think about that.
I
Our Xbox
like
is
it.
now in the hardware business. I want, like, or just even faceplates for your
Yep.
guitar. Like you can like through and you can get those designed. So they don't have to
That'd
keep
be
making
amazing.
different guitars. You can just get those faceplates because they're doing the wraps now.
Yeah.
I think that would be cool as hell, because we need new instruments, because you can't, just making them backwards compatible doesn't work, because how many of those guitars are still working and are around? And if
No.
you can find them
No.
at the eBay, they're like $300. I still
Oh,
have
yeah, no.
two.
We need all new plastic instruments. I love that, especially the customization bit. Oh man.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Microsoft's got the money to get licenses back, and maybe they could get. Let's put it this way: the company that made Guitar Hero is kind of floundering. Maybe get them to say, "Hey, go away, harmonics from Rock Band,
Mm.
and come to Guitar Hero. Come back to your original home."
Yep.
That would be awesome.
Yep. Ah, the potential.
Yeah. So this is good. We don't know about games coming to Game Pass from this acquisition. They said at this point they don't expect anything in 2023, which is a shame if everybody wants Call of Duty, the new one, and or Diablo. So if you're interested in those games, maybe be patient
Wait.
and maybe you'll see them come soon. But
Yep.
yeah, we'll see how that goes. Um, the last news story, Mark, is probably one of the dumbest things I've seen in a long time. I'm a Sony guy. I really am, but I got to call them out. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I get why they're doing it. It
Yep.
just is coming off as really greedy
Mm,
and short-sighted. And if I were you guys, I'd buy a PlayStation now, either the digital edition or the regular, because what's coming, unless you just want a smaller PlayStation, that is the PlayStation 5 is getting its first really real redesign. It's not called a Slim. Officially, it's just the next PlayStation redesign.
yep.
It's 30% smaller. The only improvements I see is you are getting 175 more gigabytes of hard drive space,
Mhm.
which is interesting. They are adding more USB-C ports to this. It is smaller, and it does have, um, if you buy the regular one, that basically there's going to be a disc-based one. It's essentially nothing has changed, and you're going to pay the same amount. The only
Yep.
thing you have to pay for is a horizontal stand, which is dumb as hell,
Which is good. That's
$30.
all the all the marketing materials are horizontal. Is it, or is it
Or so the
you have to
horizontal
buy
stand
one
comes
that
with
they
it.
show?
It comes
Yeah.
with like a little toothpick.
Yeah.
It just looks like this little plastic device.
And then
If
the
you want to
vertical
go
stand is the one that
vertical,
they keep showing.
which they've shown, is
Yeah.
the one you have to pay for, and that's $30 more. So essentially, if you want to get the same PlayStation get now in the new model, new design, and you want to do it vertical, you got to pay an extra $30,
Yeah.
and you get a little bit extra hard drive space. So I would say don't wait. Get one
Mhm.
now. Get the Spider-Man 2 edition if you can find that. Get the regular one. Get a digital. That's $400. Get those now, because once those run out, you are
Again.
not getting a choice. You're going to have to pay more for the same capabilities. The only benefit of this system, Mark, is um, they're kind of getting into the mode of they only have to make one PlayStation model now.
Yep.
And now they're going to have the ability to add a drive onto any PlayStation 5 going forward. It's ingenious for them. It reduces their manufacturing costs.
Yep.
The only difference is that they have to have boxes. I'm surprised they actually even offered um, any with the drive, to be honest. I'm
Mhm.
surprised they didn't just say the core model is 450.
Yeah.
If you want a drive,
Good.
it's separate,
Yeah.
because that would even cost even more.
Yeah.
Come on, Sony, why aren't you milking more money out of us? So what do you think? I mean, I think this is dumb. I mean, I get why they're doing it, but they're essentially adding cost to what you can buy now. So it's a
Yeah.
price increase, and they're getting more savings on top of that.
Yeah. I kind of agree. I'm all for space saving, where my consoles and stuff it's not a big space. So if I were to get a PlayStation 5 now, I honestly don't know exactly where I'd put it. Probably behind the TV, but even that has like my Xbox is already behind there. That's where my modem, my router is. There's already some space back there. So, and I'd also want it to have proper ventilation, and that's part of the reason why my Xbox is back there that way. So yeah, that is one of the issues with the PlayStation 5 for me. So anything that can reduce that a bit is good. Um, the rest of it, like you said, is kind of like pooping on like any kind of excitement. I don't know. Like it's just okay, fine, cool, whatever. Like I just, yeah, I don't know. I don't get it.
I mean,
I
I think
do. I
this
get it
opens
from a company standpoint of them wanting to just, like you said, produce one model, and like if you want to buy it with the thing, it costs $50. If you want to buy it later, it costs 80 with the drive or whatever. But like, okay, cool. I don't know.
you should buy. I know this is like the regret. This is the regret model, right? You buy the you buy the full on, so you don't have to regret doing it later and you pay more. But there's gonna be people that are like, oh, I'll save $50 and not do it, and then you regret it, and then you spend because you can get the add-on drive
Yeah,
for $80. So I do like the fact that this does allow physical to still continue.
yeah.
Even if you made a bad decision, you don't have to buy a
Hmm.
whole new box, which is nice. So I guess in that purpose, anybody who spent $400 on a digital version, like, oh crap, I wish I had physical. You don't have to buy an extra $500 console. So I
Yeah,
guess that is the only silver lining.
yeah.
And with Microsoft coming out with a all digital X in the future, what we've heard when they talked about their leaked plans,
Hmm.
I could see Xbox doing something similar, just adding a
Yeah,
drive
absolutely.
and just go all digital. Um,
Yep.
but hopefully they'll do it smarter and they'll be like, we want to get people on digital so they buy more games, don't trade them in, things like that. So we should make that cheaper and more enticing. So that's where I don't understand the Sony's position. Yes, it's cheaper, but yeah, it's a weird mix.
It is.
Not what I was expecting, to be
No,
honest,
no,
Mark.
for sure. And it is interesting because like this came out last week. This week, I've seen a couple of rumors about different places not selling Blu-rays and DVDs anymore, not selling
Mhm.
physical games anymore. Like Walmart, I think was listed in one of those stories. I think it's the gaming one. I think there's
Yeah, that's a
rumors
good
that
question.
Walmart is going to stop selling physical games, which is
That's
like,
crazy.
holy crap. So then, you know, is this like a long play kind of thing where the digital version right now is just like, don't get that one, don't be a dummy, but like in a couple of years that's going to be the de facto because like if you can't go buy a game at Walmart, why bother having a disc drive in this thing and save yourself $50 or whatever it is, and just like, because you can't buy physical games anymore, and that's a road that a lot of people don't want to go down. I, for the most part, have all physical games. There's a few that I bounce back and forth, but for the most part, like, yeah, I'm digital just to again save some space.
Yeah. I mean, uh, everybody wants to sell you a subscription service, so
Yeah,
the need for that, even the newest Xbox this holiday, their big holiday thing is going to sell you an S 500 GB edition with a 3 month subscription to Game Pass.
yeah,
So they're doing their own effort, and Sony same with PlayStation Plus. Nintendo's the only one that's basically not trying to sell you a subscription where you get games that are new, and they still don't mind if you buy physical games. So I think Nintendo will be the last man standing because PC long ago, I cannot buy a PC disc even if you tried.
yeah.
Because I don't know when the last time I saw a disc drive in a PC.
Oh man, yeah,
They
it's
just don't come
been
anymore. I mean,
years.
Apple was the first one to really kind
Long
of get
ago.
away from any type of physical media too. So yeah, games are kind of like the last man standing. But you know what?
Mhm.
I still have GameFly, and GameStop is like, hey, you can get games where we're at. Come to GameStop, please, 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 come.
Yeah,
We'll sell you games. And pre-orders may actually matter again because
really.
there might not be enough
Yeah.
discs to go around. We will see where this all goes, but this was fun talking the news. We don't do this every week, but I thought this was a good way to catch up.
Hmm.
And as the rumor mills continue, we'll have fun talking about it. So with that, we're talking about games. So wow, we're like almost an hour in, and we haven't even
Howard.
talked about playing games yet. I love this. Well, I don't love it. I love playing games, but yeah. Mark, so
Yeah.
you've been playing Assassin's Creed. I know you said, you're kind of like, you've got more to play in that game.
Yeah.
You really want to have a fully formed opinion around it. So I respect that.
Yep.
But I know you're going to have something really exciting to share when you have more
I
to
do.
really
Yeah, I'm gonna
divulge
do a
about that
full
game.
review, and Patreon subscribers will get that first, and then I'll put it on the on the regular like this feed. Um, so I'll have that as soon as I'm like completely finished the game, and I'm still working on that one. But the other night we started watching Upload again because on Amazon
Oh,
Prime
good
because
show.
the new season's dropping Friday. So
Oh, I
if
got to
you
catch up.
haven't, yeah, if you're not caught up on Upload and you have Amazon Prime, check it out. It's a great show. Like mystery comedy, all this kind of like romance story, like all this kind of
Best
stuff.
P joke ever. Best
Yes.
P joke ever. I laughed
Yes.
my butt off on that joke. I'm like, what? This shouldn't be that funny, but it is.
Just hit that up. It's very early on, so we hit that episode already. So good, so good. But that show always makes me feel like just jumping into VR for a little bit and checking out some stuff. So I finally got around to playing Moss 2, which picks up pretty much exactly where Moss 1 ends. I mentioned this game last year as a game that I really wanted to play because I think it would have been one of my top games of the year last year if I had have played it. I didn't get to it in time, and then I just kind of kept putting it on the back burner, playing other stuff, and I'm finally like, you know what? I can't. We're coming close to the end of the year. I can't do this again and just be like, no, I didn't get to Moss again. Like, come on, it's been almost a year, Mark. What's going on?
You're going to make that
Uh,
little mouse cry.
that's exactly right. And I don't want to do that. So Quill and I have been going on an adventure. I played so much, I drained the battery on my Quest 2.
You didn't have it plugged in? That's a
And,
sitting game essentially, right?
it's a sitting game. I never plug my Quest in. Like, I don't think I've ever played it with it plugged in.
No one
So
did before.
I played it until, I got the battery warning, and then I was like, "I've been playing too long. It's time to go to bed," and I took the set off, and I was no longer immersed in my world. I was just in my living room, and I went to sleep. So,
Aw.
I've only put one really, really good play session in so far, but the game is delightful. It is just as delightful as the first game. It feels very much just like a continuation, like book two, but it feels more like chapter two than maybe a brand new
Okay.
book. You know what I mean? Um, which is not a bad thing at all. I haven't noticed anything like really visually or, like gameplay mechanic wise, like super changed from the first one. You start off with the same weapons, the same armor. Like, it literally is just a continuation. I already got a new armor piece. You pick up another sword, but then you kind of trade it back and get the sword that you finished the game with. Like, it's very, very much a continuation. And I should have looked this up first, but I don't know if it read my save file from Moss 1 and continued
Oh,
then,
okay. Hmm.
or if it just defaults to like, this is what you should have finished the game with. Here you go. Here's Moss 2. I'll have to look that up.
Do you
If
feel
anyone
like you
knows,
do you
let me
feel
know.
like you missed out by not finishing Moss 1?
Oh, I did finish Moss 1 completely.
You did. Okay,
Yeah.
so I
Oh, yeah.
okay, got it. So it's
Yeah.
basically
So
does it
yeah,
have a
that's what I mean. Like, I finished Moss 1 and like picked up Moss 2, and it felt like it was just like, okay, continuing this game. Like, it's picking up exactly where I left off in Moss 1. Um, so if anyone knows the answer to that, like, does it read your file? Has anyone picked up Moss 2 without playing Moss 1? Because they do kind of give you a little refresher recap and kind of get you caught back up on the story and then drop you back into the storybook. Um, but it's amazing so far. I love it. I absolutely love it. I can't wait to go play more this week. And I kind of play that as a little palate cleanser in between Assassin's Creed, because I'm still working on that. But that's really it. I've been doing that and playing Fort Nightmares, which I already went into detail with. So I'm not going to bore anyone with that. Todd, you've been
Well, I
playing a
was
few
thinking
different.
about this. I was looking up Moss Book 2
Yep.
because it's on Steam, and actually this is oh god, I gotta get this. Moss Book 1 and Book 2 is currently on sale, a combo, 16 bucks on
What?
Steam.
Oh,
Yes, because
go.
Moss Book 2 is 20 bucks. So why would I mean,
Yeah.
I already own Moss, so it's not doing anything, but I will do that and maybe well,
Crazy.
crap, I wish I could just get I wish I could get, like, the Steam code and just give it away because I already own it. So I
Right.
wish maybe that's the way to do it. I don't know.
Mm.
But, I played, um, Moss through, Steam, or well, through my Steam VR library on
Right.
Quest.
Right.
So I didn't have it through my Quest library, and I played it there. And it makes a huge difference if you have a good PC to do that. The screen doesn't change, but the horsepower does. And I really wish I had played more. My Quest is actually away, and it is always dead when I go to play it. So I got to figure out something like that. But I've got in-laws coming, and also I'm going to relatives for Thanksgiving. So I think I'm going to bring the Quest with me and just scare the poop out of them by playing like Vader Mortal, because that always scares people when they climb. They like
Oh,
you find
yeah.
out people are like they have height issues. So I think I'm going to get back into it, Mark, because I've got my new
Nice.
PC, a lot of horsepower there. I'm assuming, and that uses the Oculus Link technology, is basically physically connected. I've done it with wireless. Through virtual desktop, which is
Right.
kind of cool too. Works really well actually, because the Quest 2 works great wirelessly
Yeah.
through PC. That has that Air link, but the Quest 1 didn't. Unfortunately, it's not very good. And when I see the things with Quest 3 and what they're showing with the AR
Oh, yeah.
technology, that's attractive to me. That's far more attractive than PlayStation VR 2, unfortunately, because I don't know. But the sitting games are attractive to me because my space is kind of small,
Mm.
and doing crazy stuff like that. I don't want to hit my my OLED. I don't want to do crazy stuff. So, but maybe, but I think I want to get back into it with those type of games that are that type of experience.
Mhm.
So we'll see how that goes. And I do have a workout area that I could go and not damage anything. That maybe I'll go back to Vader Immortal because I never finished the game. So you've got me intrigued to go back. But Moss is great.
Yeah,
I loved what I played of it, and I want to play more.
definitely. Yeah, you should. Such a great little story.
Well, I've been playing something a little less cute, and that is something I never even remembered that existed, and that is Resident Evil 4 had DLC. Back in the
Really?
day, they had a mode called Separate Ways, and this was Ada Wong's missions that happened concurrently with Leon. Like Ada would
Right.
show up and they'd like have I love their relationship because it's really like Ada likes Leon a lot, but she has to be protected and she has to take care of her stuff. So she's cold blooded. Leon thinks she's just only out for herself, where you find out that Ada's really helping Leon along the way. You know, she's got a cold exterior with a warm inside heart. And this was originally on the PlayStation 2. I don't know if it was on the GameCube or not, that they had the Separate Ways mission. Like I said, I didn't even know it existed because I played it on GameCube. Well, they have redone Separate Ways and brought it to the Resident Evil 4 remake, and it was $10. So I bought that. I got the game back from GameFly, and I loved it. I couldn't stop playing it. The gameplay
Cool.
is fantastic. Ada's really cool. She has a grappling hook, and then you get some upgrades where you can actually use it in combat, where you can pull away people's shields, which is fun. She uses it to traverse, like when you're fighting a boss, like you can
Mhm.
get up on top of roofs and go after them. And I loved it. I thought it was wonderful. I loved how and I can't compare it to the original one, how different it is, but I loved how they just basically would showcase her as she was kind of witnessing what Leon was doing. And you find out that the only reason Leon really survived that initial mission in the village, we talked about it, spooky village, was because Ada actually made it happen. So she was kind of like his guardian angel along the way.
Cool.
I really love this. I thought it was awesome. Probably about 5 to 6 hours of gameplay, but well worth it for $10. It was amazing. It got me back into Resident Evil. I loved it. Can't say enough about it. The difficulty wasn't too bad. Maybe I was playing on medium difficulty, but if you played it higher, oh my goodness, it would kick your butt. But loved it. Great game. Resident Evil 4. Glad I got back to it. It was spooky
Nice.
so it's perfect for
Perfect
me.
time to play it. That's awesome.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And then the Dark Pictures Anthology. I've talked about this by Supermassive Games. They do Until Dawn, The Quarry, and then they do this series called the Dark Pictures Anthology.
Mhm.
And this is the fourth game that I played in the series called The Devil in Me. Um, Until Dawn and The Quarry are their best games. The
Mm.
Dark Pictures Anthology feels like the B movie version of that, like where the budget's not there, the people in the game are not there. Like typically those games, Until Dawn and The Quarry have like stars, like people you know.
Right.
There is no one you know in these games. They do have an overarching, like almost like not a narrator. He's kind of like the guide, and he's in this room, and he's kind of like almost like the Watcher in Marvel Comics, where he can't intercede, but he's there to basically document stories and decisions. And he's cool. He's this cool cat. He's British, very cool. And in his lair, you see the old posters for the previous games, almost like memories that happened. So I played the Man of Medan.
Right.
There was something in the Ashes, which was the military one where you're basically in Iraq, which was kind of a cool, different take on things. There was
Mm.
one game I didn't play, which I heard was not very good, but and this most recent one I have played a little bit. I haven't played the whole thing, but basically I got through the intro mission, which was kind of like that, like a lot of horror films. It's like this is like not part of the full game, but gives you enough that gets you in. Kind of like if you think of Scream with Drew Barrymore, and like you have that part. And then it shifts to the actual real game. So this game is about North America's first serial killer, H.H. Holmes,
Mm.
which, if you've heard about him, he killed like over 200 people potentially around the turn of the century.
Mhm.
And that's where we kick it off. And you get to be part of one of his murders. And it fast forward to modern times. Basically, it's almost like a paranormal investigation team where they're invited to a guy who's essentially recreated H.H. Holmes' mansion or hotel
Hmm.
in a remote island village, Mark. And you
Great.
don't know much about this. Exactly. So that's the premise. So I love the setup. I love the premise. It starts strong, but wow, the acting is not strong. The
Mm,
movement is kind of clunky, and I don't know where it's going. I kind of know where it is, but I'm not 100% sure. A lot of red herrings, a lot of characters. You're like, ah. And this game series is all about choices and consequences. That's all it is. It'll remember you did that decision. Oh boy, that's a bad one.
mm.
And it does quick time events. So like when you have to make quick uh like action sequences, if you accidentally push the wrong button, you're probably gonna screw yourself. So and then it also gives you like imprints of like decisions you made, and it shows you like these are critical moments within
Mm.
time. So which is kind of cool. So there's playability in this to replay it if you want to basically make better decisions or have better skills. But the other thing this game offered was to see, basically it said play with friends or play alone. So this has a game mode where you can play online, you can play with other people, which
Cool.
I like,
Yeah.
but I have no friends, Mark.
Oh no.
So I can't play online. Well, the likelihood that other people are also playing this game, available people,
At the time. Yeah.
and just when I play.
Yeah.
But if you timed this right and said, "Hey, Mark, you got the game? Yeah, I do. I got it for free or cheap or whatever.
Hmm.
Hey, we're gonna play a spooky game session on a Tuesday night." I think this is perfect. I'm playing on Xbox, got it through GameFly. I think you can get this game for like, if you want to just buy it for like probably 20, $25. It's not bad, but it's fun. It's like you said, this is B horror gaming series that I love. I've always played these games. I really, really enjoy them quite a bit, even though they're not the scariest thing in the world, and they're not that like, but I love the decision making, and I just like what they've done. So I'm gonna be playing this until, quite honestly, when the biggest games drop this Friday. It's
Yeah.
Spider-Man time, Spider-Man 2 time coming, and also Mario Wonder, which I
Yep.
used my voucher on.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah, are you also getting Wonder, or what is your plan?
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. We're
Okay,
we're talking about if we want to use a voucher or get it physical, so we can kind of trade it back and forth. So
sure.
we haven't pre-ordered or purchased it yet, um, and I don't know with trying to finish Assassin's Creed. I don't even know if I'll actually get it this Friday,
Okay,
or if we might wait until until November when things slow down
yeah,
a little bit, because the next few weekends are even quite
yeah.
busy. Um, so this might be like a save for my birthday kind of game, and we'll see, because that's early November anyway. So it might be that. So I will get it for sure in the very near future, but I don't know if it's going to be Friday quite yet, because I still haven't made a decision if I want to go pick it up physical, or if I just want it most likely always on my library digital. But we'll see. We'll see.
Well, it's funny because I was looking, some of the pre-orders you can get from like the stores for it
Yeah.
when you buy it physically are fun. They've
Yeah.
got like just stickers and things. Nintendo does better than anybody else because I'm like, I actually canceled my Spider-Man 2 collector's edition
Oh.
because the statue is too big for my collector's cabinet. So I'm like, crap, it's 19 inches tall. That's a lot of Spider-Man. I can't,
That's
can't take all that Spider-Man, as they would say. So I need to get the game. So I'm like, are there any cool pre-orders that are out there physically if I get
mhm.
that? So I'm waiting to find out how I'm going to get the game, but I'm going to definitely play it because the reviews are coming out. It's like a 91 Metacritic. So I'm
Yeah.
all in on that series. So
Yep.
Mark, once you finally get well, I mean, you have access to a PlayStation 4, so
Yeah.
you could play Miles Morales and the old Spider-Man, but this
I,
game
I
is
I played the original
PS5 only.
Spider-Man. I loved it.
Yeah,
Absolutely loved it. I
yeah,
didn't play Miles
yeah.
Morales, and yeah, I really need to
Miles is
eventually get
better
that.
than
Yeah.
the first one, which is great, and then this one it's even better because it's both Spider-Mans,
Yep.
two Spider-Mans in one.
Two is
What could
better
anyone
than
ask
one.
for?
Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah. All right. So that's what we've been playing, folks. Let us know what you've been playing, and if you have thoughts on any of the games we've been playing, let us know. But with that, we're getting to the bonus round. So I gave Mark two choices, or three choices actually, what to
Yeah.
do this week. And he chose create your own horror game. So
Hmm.
basically, we're basically saying each of us are going to create a horror game where we have to pick the developer, the setting, a protagonist, and the style of game. So think of like survival, Metroidvania, something like that. So that is what we're gonna do. Last year we played make a family-friendly game horrific. So we're trying to do something a little bit different every year. So stay tuned next year and see what we choose next. So with that, Mark, since you've already got yours
Yep.
set, take it away.
Okay. So I kind of went, I don't know if I'd call this full horror, but I think it would be fun to play for like spooky time. And it could be like, depending on how you play it or how hard they want to go developing. Um, but I picked someone, I think someone like Obsidian for this one is what I'm thinking, mainly because of Grounded. So Grounded, they shrunk you, but I think in the same kind of way, the protagonist for this one would be you as a kid. So you could design, create your own character, build them how you want to. You know, you could have different little outfits and different things. Um, this would be a great place for that kind of like DLC tie-in. So if you want like little Todd to be wearing a Transformers backpack or a Ghostbusters Proton pack with the Ghostbusters suit, like this is where you do that, right? Like you get those tie-ins and that DLC and whatever. But this is it. You play as a kid. I'm thinking like that 6 to 8 or 9 year old range where like you're kind of getting that independence of like, hey, I can go outside the yard, I can go up to my friend's place, I can do this, I can do that. You're kind of getting into a little bit of trouble, but not like too much. You know what I mean? Um, so I remember like for this age group, for this age range, I remember like my cousins, like older cousins or like just like kids around or whatever, just like you try to creep each other out. You try to
Oh yeah.
go after the haunted house down the street. So I'm thinking this is like the setting for this would be those little snapshots, and like each kind of mission or each level or whatever could be different things in your everyday life. But like Courage the Cowardly Dog,
Oh, love
cartoon,
that. Perfect.
everything's ramped up. Everything's like just ramped up to 11. Everything, your imagination's just going off the charts. Every single thing, playing it, you're seeing what 8-year-old you is seeing. So you're seeing the creepy attic at grandma and grandpa's. There's like some crazy shit up there. There's a monster up there. We have to go check it out. There's a haunted house down the street. Maybe it's haunted, maybe it's not. Who knows? We're gonna go check it out. That's when you grab your proton pack and you're gonna go like, check that out. You gotta check out the attic. Um, you're heading home from your friend's place after dark, but the streetlights are acting up a little bit. What's causing the streetlights to act up? I'm not really sure, but I'm pretty sure I just saw some eyes looking at me from the woods. It's those kind of things, right? Like
Yeah, like Grab by the Ghoulies is like kind of like, is that the feel? Like, I mean,
Grabbed by the
not
Ghoulies. I'm
old.
not familiar with that. Hold on.
It's rare. That's their spooky game. That was the first game they put on Xbox. Was Grab by the Ghoulies.
No way. I never played this.
You've never played it? You can play it on if you have Rare Replay. It's there.
I do.
Yeah, about a
I do.
kid.
I'm
It's
gonna have to check
spooky. It's
that out.
kid trying to survive, and
I have
yeah.
never ever heard of this game.
What? Oh my
Like
god. You've gotta
never
check
in
this
my
out,
life. I'm
Mark.
looking
This
this
is
up
gonna
right
be your
now.
spooky game. Play that with Loren. You guys
That
will love it.
might be
It's
it.
fun.
Yeah. Oh, that looks so cool.
Yeah,
I've
that was the
never
first
played.
game they
Like,
they did
if
when they
anyone's
were they were bought by
screaming,
Xbox.
if anyone's screaming right now that I ripped this off, I have zero recollection of this game ever, and I've
Well,
played
you
some
didn't
Rare Replay
but
stuff.
I think it's got, like, that Costume Quest, that
Yeah.
type
Oh,
of,
yeah.
like, that age
Definitely
group where it's
that
like
that kind of
Monster
feel.
Squad.
Yep. That's what I was going for. This was like Costume Quest, Luigi's Mansion, and that's it. Like third person view, because I want you to like see the kid, and this is one of the things that I want is, uh, because you can see your character. I want your imagination's already starting to play in this game. Um, Not quite the exact same as something like Eternal Darkness, but I kind of wanted to take that psychological element, but apply it in an imagination filter. So for this, you could start off and basically you just pick up a stick or you pick up a rock or you pick up something that you use as your weapon. And at first, that's a stick and you're fighting whatever kind of like haunts are coming at you depending on the mission. But the stick might turn into a sword or a knife or a baseball bat. Like it turns into something simple. So like let's say
Like a
baseball bat
ground, like
first.
using kind of like the grounded kind of concept where you could like craft and do things like that, like Obsidian
I
did.
mean, it levels up with your imagination. So the more you beat things, the more you defeat enemies, the more imagination you get and you start to really believe in it. So it just kind of levels up with XP. So the more you get, the more things you defeat, the more XP it goes, and the stick suddenly becomes a baseball bat. The baseball bat suddenly becomes a sword. The sword suddenly becomes a lightsaber.
Ah,
And then
okay.
that becomes, a bazooka or whatever you need for that end game boss, um, or the mission, whatever it becomes, right? So like the same kind of thing. If you're fighting ghosts, it becomes like, your stick or whatever becomes like a little pea shooter, a BB gun, becomes a real gun, becomes a energy pack like the Ghostbusters would have. It becomes like whatever you kind of need for the mission. You're using that childhood imagination to be like, okay, I need this, like, and I see Finn doing that all the time, right? He'll pick up these little blocks and we use them. These blocks are from like a marble run game. So like I set it all up and I build things and it goes, like he hits the switch and the marble goes down and around and sets something off. But he'll pick these up and he'll be like, he'll stack, like he had a stack here with like 4 on it and he was like, this is my lightsaber. And he's just coming out, or like he'll go like this and it's like his pew pew. So like I see him do that kind of stuff. So when I was coming up with this idea, I was thinking of that, of like 4 stacks of a block is a physical weapon. Then it's a pew pew if you hold it like this. Like it's anything you want. Like you break it in two and you've got like something, or like you put a string on it and it becomes nunchucks. So yeah, the more things you find, the more things you beat, the more your imagination just kind of takes it away, and the scary things become a little less scary, and you have to just kind of face your fears if you can. If you get overwhelmed, don't worry, you can just run away. That's an option. Just bail. But that's kind of the thing. I've also been playing Celeste. I didn't mention that, but there were some missions, Game Pass missions for Celeste. So I've been like, that kind of factored into this as well, of that like climb the mountain, face your fears, you can do this kind of thing. So um, yeah, creepy psychological stuff, but also like a whole lot of like fun, imaginative kind of thing. So it's like horror game in a loose sense, Luigi's Mansion style. What was the other one? Grabbed by the Ghoulies. Yeah, that
Well, even
looks,
Costume Quest, the kids'
and Costume Quest.
costumes
Yeah,
turned into like battle armor, or it's something. Basically, their imagination led to like, oh, I've got these abilities and these skills. I
yep,
love that though. You basically saying use your imagination to give you like powers or weapons to
yeah.
defend yourself. I like that.
That's it. Yep. So that's I didn't. The only thing I didn't think of was a name for this one. I was trying to think of like growing up or imagination kind of name. So if anyone listening has an idea for a name, hit me with them in the Discord channel. I want to hear your names, and I'll try to come up with one too. And I'll post it after I see a few that are posted as well. And I'm sure someone will come up with something better than what I do.
Nice. I like that, Mark. Because it's hitting on a lot of different areas that are kind of like fun. Because kids like to also play scary games, but they don't want to be too scared. So I think that
Yeah,
works for
dude,
all
we
ages.
used
If you
to
can make it
like
fun, yeah.
like in the summers, like at our cottage, there's a bunch of kids around from all the different cottages and stuff. But there was one kind of in the middle, and it was this old like farmhouse type thing. And they said there was a ghost up there named
Yeah.
Angus, and he hung himself in this house. And we'd get our like Ghostbuster plastic proton packs and just be like, we got to get rid of or go check out Angus or whatever. And like we'd go up to the attic and we creep around. The second someone heard one creak from like a creepy old house, probably like mice or squirrels up there or whatever. But we'd be in the attic and just someone would scream and you just take off running. Um, but like if if you're gonna find a Goonies map, that's the house you're gonna find it in.
Yeah.
But like you never stayed in the attic too long to find one. Um, So like we used to like that kind of shit all that, like that was, so like that was what I was like I was thinking of those times. Um or like, you think you can take a shortcut through the woods, but like, it's getting dark here earlier now. So
Yeah.
like that kind of thing. Like we went for a walk, like Finn and I, after dinner, after supper, we go for a walk a lot through the summer. We did it the other day. It got a little too dark, a little too fast. And Finn was just like, we're cutting this short. Let's go
Yeah.
home. It's way too
Spooky.
dark for me right now.
Those
So
aren't
it's like,
birds anymore, Daddy.
that's it, right? Like it was just kind of like
Very
it was like just we can see the house. And he was just like, I don't like this. No, we're turning around. I am done with this. So that's where a lot of this played in, is just watching that of like, dude, you know exactly where we are. And it's just like, nope, nope. There's some creepy
Well, things
shadows.
look a
I
little
want
different.
to go. So I was like, quickly scoop him up and take him. So that's where that all came from, if you're wondering.
Very cool. I love that. I love that mixture of kids' imagination and the Halloween, because that's, where my brain goes when I think of Halloween, the scary times
Hmm.
that I made the scary stuff in my own brain. So
Yeah.
very cool, man.
So what are you thinking of?
So this kind of came out of just in my brain, because I was thinking of like games that I like, and I'm like, oh, what could I work? How could I recapture that in a different way? So, Mark, I'm thinking my game would be in the style of Dead Rising 4. So if you remember Dead Rising 4, so it was like the fourth Capcom game, where this one was on the Xbox One,
Yep.
and it was great. And it was also on PlayStation, I think, but they just really refined the gameplay. Basically, Frank West, he's a photographer. He's got to basically take down zombie hordes. There's masses of them, and the fun is how you battle them and take care of them, but it has a cool storyline as well. It's really fun, but it's imaginative as well in the
Hmm.
gameplay. But it's about a zombies hordes, and just having a good time taking them out, but in that type of setting. So I'm taking Capcom Vancouver is the studio who made that game, so I'm going to use them, because I don't, quite honestly, I don't know what they're doing. They're making Monster Hunter games, but I don't know. They're going to make my game though, because Marvel's going to say, "Hey, we want you to make a game," because I said Marvel. That's right, folks. I'm making Marvel Zombies, the game.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, Mark. My cast is going to be the Marvel's Midnight Suns. So Midnight Suns is Ghost Rider, Blade, Werewolf by Night, Doctor Strange. Think of anybody that has anything to do with the occult, the supernatural, Doctor Voodoo. Add them on, maybe Moon Knight as well. They're in this cast, and they're going to be swappable, whatever, or you can play cooperative, and you can play with 4 other people as well. So it's almost a kind of a mode of like the Marvel Ultimate
So,
Alliance or the old X-Men Legends as well. So think of like that type of game, but more of a 3D setting than rather than the top down. Um, and the settings are going to be the Xavier School for the Gifted. It's going to be the Savage Lands. I think of like zombie dinosaurs and things with Kazar and Zabu taking on Sauron. They're going to have the Avengers Mansion, so you think of like Scary Mansion. There you go, Avengers Mansion, and then Fantastic Four Freedom's Tower. You could do Manhattan. You could do you could do the Sanctum Sanctorum as
yep.
well. Think of any place in the Marvel universe you could go.
Uh,
But it's going to be, people are going to be able to be upgraded with their powers, the ability to take
awesome.
down zombies, and you're going to see zombie versions of villains and also heroes that you have to take down. Obviously, to find a cure. Why is this happening? And it probably leads you down a path of who's all behind this. And I don't want to spoil that, because that's the fun part of this game. That's the synergy I want Marvel games to do. Fun, adult, crazy gameplay, awesome studios making cool stuff. So that's what I want. I want Marvel Zombies, the game.
I freaking love that. You
Mark,
surprised me when you were going with like the Dead Rising stuff. I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, I like that. Is you drop Marvel Zombies? Like, I got to rewatch that because I'm like my face is just like, it's got to be just pure shock. That was such a good idea. I love it. And I
you want to
recently I saw like a page from one of the Marvel Zombies of like Cap getting his cap taken off by Magneto.
So
He's like,
good.
"Thank you for bringing the shield, dummy," and it just
Yes.
right. It's such a great
Yes.
panel, and I think like Spider-Man's with him or something. And Spider like
Oh.
he's like
Oh,
shattered
yeah.
his leg or something like that. And it's such a great because like they still have personality, but they're zombies, and I think that would be such a new zombie take. We're so used to zombie
Yeah.
video games being like
Zombies
brains,
with powers. We have not seen that yet
but like
in a video game
intelligent
setting.
zombies that can be like,
Oh, yeah.
hey, Spidey, go after him because we still know what this is, but we
Yep.
also really want brains. Um, we can coordinate, we can use powers, we're a team, we can still communicate effectively.
Oh, you've
So
got
good.
Morbius, who basically
Terrifying.
is undead, so he's a good guy to have on your team because he can't get turned. Or it was Machine Man was in one of the series where
Mhm.
he was basically a machine. He can't be turned. He's a machine, so he's a great. So you could do that. You could mix up your teams
So good.
and find people, and maybe there's a cure that you could turn people back. Don't know, but
So good.
yeah, I want these type of games to be made because why not? They'd be so much fun. And you know what? Nothing better than seeing your heroes turned loose and not have to worry about killing anybody because they're already
Yes.
dead.
Deadpool needs to be on this team as well. Just Deadpool
Oh,
kills the
perfect.
Marvel universe zombies.
Absolutely. And it's because
Um,
of his healing factor, he
yep.
can't be turned. Just like
Yeah.
Wolverine can't be turned. He could be in it as well.
Yep.
So yeah, there
Frick.
you go.
Oh man.
Well, there we
Good idea.
go. There's our games. So you got something a little bit more for the young at heart, and you got something for the rotten at heart, I guess is
I
the
love it.
rotten heart of our undead hearts. There we go. So folks, let us know your pitch. You know what? We won't steal our idea. Ours are trademarked by Secret Friends Unite, the Canadian and Ox, you know, proactively. So Marvel, come and get me. Mark, I don't know. I guess you got to go to Xbox for yours.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah, I guess that would be an Xbox exclusive or whatever. Huh?
Obsidian, yeah,
Yeah.
you pitched it. So there we go. So that is another episode. We survived, Mark. Our
Woo!
horror survival horror. We survived this game. Although with your camera stuff, I don't know. I'd basically
Yeah.
burn some sage before the end of the night.
I'm throwing this camera in the garbage right away. If anyone knows a good webcam, that'd be great. So this one's
Very
broken.
good. Yeah, this is a fun episode. I always love the spooky season. It's fun. Let us know, folks, what your spooky season plans are. We've got lots of fun stuff planned. If you got costumes, share them with us as well in our Discord, and you can join us there. So, Mark, where can people follow you in this spooky time?
You can follow me everywhere at _Canardian, whether that's X, which I've started checking a little bit more often, not a ton, but a little bit. Threads, Instagram's like the best place to find me for sure, or our Discord channel. That's the best place to find me. And if you want me on Xbox or Switch, it's just Canardian.
Perfect. I'm doing a lot more on Threads. T-Oxtra on Threads. Instagram, I'm tied there, so my stuff goes both places, anyways.
Yep.
And then Secret Friends Unite is on Instagram and Threads as well at Secret Friends Unite. So we get our whole title. Very, very cool. So if you're there, friend us, follow us, and share so people can find us as well. We're also still putting stuff on X just because it's there and has a bigger audience, but that's where we want to play, is in the place that's probably going to be a better place for us in the long term. And for myself, I don't make it simple. If you want a game with me, I'm Sparty on 98 on Xbox and Switch, and Sparty on 1998 on PSN.
It's
So,
simple
Mark,
enough, I think I've finally figured out what's going on. I've upgraded to the latest version of Mac OS, and now there's like reactions that you can do. There we go.
oh,
And I can have lasers. All right. So there's
so
things I can do now.
so maybe
And there's
your movements caused your
I
distress.
think so. Yeah, I think that's what's
Okay,
going on. I was
so
probably
no sudden movements,
flashing some.
Mark.
No, that's it. I gotta stay very still, or just turn that feature off because I just figured out how to turn it off.
Yeah,
But there we go. And I just saw
perfect.
was that a phantom cat behind you?
Oh,
It
yes,
just
yes, in my
disappeared, like it
mansion,
just
I've got cats, I've got
yeah.
dogs potentially. Yeah,
It's
yeah, don't
very
worry about it.
creepy. I like it.
Black cats, what could go
Yeah.
wrong, Mark?
Okay.
So yeah, follow us, make sure we survive this, guys. This might be our last episode, who knows? Probably not. Thank you, Mark, for joining me on this scary journey in the world of video games. It's always a pleasure. And remember, folks, it's always better to game together.